today is Saturday, and it was a spicy one here in Las Vegas. In his first hand, the legend Kenna James has the straddle on.
I've been fighting to get on one of these final tables for years. I've played the first ever World Poker Tour event, and this is a challenge.
Action folds over to me in the big blind, looking down at Jack 10 offsuit. Let's get after it. I make it $80 to go. Kenna defends his straddle. We go heads up to a flop. Queen 8-4 rainbow. That's a gut shot to the nuts. I'm gonna go ahead and c-bet this for 15 bucks, and Kenna once again makes the call. Turn is an ace. That's a great card. We should have range advantage here, and we also have ourselves a double gutter. Let's go ahead and fire once again. $80 once again is the sizing I choose, and once again, Kenna makes the call. Looking for some help here, and it does not arrive on the river. It's a deuce, total brick. But I think we're still gonna have the strongest hands here, and we've got ourselves jack high. We're gonna have to try and make something happen here. We're gonna have to try and power this one through. Let's go ahead and wager $220. Kenna thinks about it for a little while and decides that's not enough money. He goes ahead and makes the call. And of course, it's not enough money because he has ace-4. That's not gonna get the job done. And I don't think that sizing is probably gonna get the job done versus any top pair holding. Even if he only had a single pair of aces, I think that bet is probably too small. Maybe we should have applied more pressure, but as it turns out, with two pair, kind of glad I didn't bet more in that instance. Things took a turn for the better when Kenna put out a raise to $40 with no straddle on. My old pal Nick Devela, he's on my direct right, he makes the call. You might remember Nick Devela from such vlogs as a very early one, a Gatorade poured over his head in the Aria poker room and collected a $1,000 bet as a result.
Hey look, it's raining! Cashew nut. All right. Woo! $1,000, and here's the 1,000. Show the 1,000. Oh, only in Vegas, baby.
Known this man a long time. He is in the game. He's in the pot. He makes the call. We look down at pocket fours on the button. Of course, we call as well. The three of us go to a flop. That comes out pretty favorable for these fours. 10-8-4 with a flush draw. Flop ourselves bottom set here. And good news is that Kenna continues for a c-bet. $80 is the wager. Nick makes the call. There's no way we're flat calling. Very draw heavy board here. We're gonna have to put in a raise no matter how strong it looks here in position on the button. We're definitely gonna have some semi bluffs here. We can have some combo draws, not just the sets. So let's go ahead and put in that raise. 350 seems like a reasonable sizing. Raise it up to $350. Back over to Kenna, who thinks about it for a little while before deciding to let his holding go. Nick releases right away, unfortunately. So cannot get the desired amount of action that we were after.
Pardon the interruption, just butting in here real quick while I'm editing this video to tell you about not one, but two Meetup Games happening in the very near future. First one is a return to Playground in Montreal. That is happening this month. October the 25th, myself, Brad Owen, Rampage, we're all going. We're gonna play some 1-2 and 2-5. You can use code VLOG over at WPT Global, and if you sign up on the wait list and you have an account at WPT Global, then you'll be entered into a drawing for a $250 satellite ticket to the WPT World Championships Step 1 satellite ticket. That is the first Meetup game, and the second one is for my fellow Americans, and we'll be heading down to Jacksonville, Florida. Best Bet Casino, my first time there, Brad Owen's first time there, November 9th. We'll be there. Hope to see you guys there. All right, back to the action.
All right, the splice factor is going up in this next hand. The under the gun player comes in for the raise. Makes it $30 to go. We are on the button looking down at ace king. Let's go ahead and bump this up. I make it $100 to go. Player in the small blind puts in the cold call. Back over to the initial raiser under the gun, and he goes ahead and puts in a 4-bet. He makes it $420. Now, this player type, not a nit. Definitely not a nit. If he was a nit, I would play very cautiously in this spot, especially with the initial raise and the 4-bet coming from the under the gun position. This player is not afraid to mix it up. I just saw him get in the mix with a king 7 offsuit and call a bet on the flop with just king high, no backdoor draws or anything of the sort. So I've definitely seen him do some things, and he doesn't have to be super nutted in this spot. So when it comes back over to me, we've got about $2,000 effective. I think we have a couple of options, but I'm gonna take the more aggressive option. I'm gonna go ahead and jam this one in there. I think the initial raiser can be getting after it a little bit, especially with that cold call from the small blind. Anytime a player cold calls a 3-bet, that's definitely a capped range. So I think the player in the under the gun spot can be getting after it, at least somewhat. We're only completely dead if he happens to have pocket aces. In lots of other instances, we're gonna be flipping or maybe 30% equity. And as it turns out, this is going to be one of those spots because after the small blind gets out of the way, the player under the gun goes ahead and snap calls. He asks if I want to run it once or twice, and I say, you know what? For the vlog, for the content, let's go ahead and just run it this one time. And it's bad news because he has pocket kings. So we're gonna need some help here. Help does not arrive on the flop, does not arrive on the turn, and it does not arrive on the river either. So we definitely run into it there. The questions definitely start popping into my mind, such as maybe I got after a little bit too much with an ace-king offsuit facing a 4-bet. But like I said, I think the player type in this exact instance allows for some additional spiciness. After seeing the results and the cards on their backs, it's very easy to say maybe that was too aggressive, and in a lot of instances it is, but I think I'm okay with it. I don't know. Let's see how we feel at the end of the day. I can tell you how I was feeling at the end of the session at Resorts World. Not great. Things did not go our way. We did manage to make a couple hands here and there, but we lost far more hands than we were able to make and win. Get into this game at Resorts World for $10,000 and only cash out somewhere around $2,600 or so. The run good appears to have ground to a very significant halt, but the night is young. That game wraps up at about, I want to say 9 p.m. or so, which leaves plenty of time for a Saturday evening stroll down the Las Vegas Strip. Currently leaving the Resorts World, heading over to Wynn, and I am currently stuck $7,400 and change. Into the Win 510, occasionally 20 we go, buying in for the max $3,000. Let's see if we can recoup some losses. No straddle on in this hand, we look down at pocket fours. Let's raise it from early position up to 30 bucks. The button and both of the blinds make the call. 4 ways to a flop that once again looks pretty favorable for the fours. We're flopping a set. Almost the exact same flop as earlier when we flopped a set, this time 10-6-4 rainbow. Small bet checks, and interesting news from the big blind who decides to lead into me. I believe $60 is the bet size. Could do a couple of things, could raise, could call. I'm just gonna go ahead and flat call here. There's no real obvious draws that should be in my hand from the under the gun spot. So I think it looks a little bit on the strong side if I put in the raise. Let's call, see if we can entice some other people into the pot. Button gets out of the way. Small blind does make the call, so a 3-way affair heading to the turn. Turn is a 3, which might complete the 5-7 straight draw. Let's see what happens. What happens is small blind checks. Big blind does not stop betting. Continues here for 160 bucks. Now I think raise is even less of a ideal line because now there's a straight on board. Our hand is less strong. I guess our opponents could occasionally have that straight. Let's put in the call. Player in the small blind this time gets out of the way, so we are heads up to a river, which is a king. This time my opponent checks. Obviously we're going for value. He doesn't have a straight when he checks. Let's see if we can derive $320 worth of value. That's how much I bet. My opponent thinks about it for a little bit and then he makes the call. So when he just flat calls there, of course we have the winner. Roll it over. We're dragging in a pot here. We are going to try and claw as much of our way back as possible. All right, spiciness resumes in this hand. Under the gun player limps. Under the gun +2 raises it up to $40. Player on the button calls, and we're in the small blind looking down at the ace king of diamonds. A beauty, an absolute beauty. Let's go ahead and 3-bet this and make it $220 to go. Maybe it could even go a little bit bigger here, but that's the sizing that I choose. Folds back to the initial raiser, and he goes ahead and puts in a 4-bet, this time up to $640. Player on the button gets out of the way, and it's back over to us. Once again, we are up against a player type that has shown a propensity to get into the mix. Just a little bit before this, I saw him put in the cold call out of the blinds with the ace-deuce suited. Now, in this spot, he's putting in the 4-bet, and we've got ourselves ace-king suited from out of position. This time we're even deeper though. We're $3,000 deeper. So what do we want to do here? Do we want to call and play out of position versus an opponent that is capable of mixing it up? Or do we want to put in a raise, and if so, how much? You know what, guys? I didn't come all the way from not even 1 block over from the Resorts World to the Wynn Poker Room to put in a flat call with ace-king suited. No, sir. It's pretty tough to play out of position, and there's a decent chance, a very decent chance that we have the best hand here. Sure, calling is reasonable. We can proceed cautiously. We can try and hit a flop, and we can fold if we don't, but that doesn't sound very fun to me. It is time to indulge in the maximum amount of spice. Take your pick, Tabasco, Sriracha, all the jalapenos, all of the habanero. We're diving head first. Let's do it. All in wager, and my opponent snap calls. That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. He asked me if I want to run it once or twice, and I ask him if we are flipping. I show him my hand, and he delivers the ultimate bad news. We are not flipping, people. He's got the pocket aces. That is not a good sign. This is a $6,000 plus pot. We firmly run into it here, and we are going to need all the help in the world. Let's do it for the vlog. Maybe there's a miracle to be found here somewhere, because we're going to need it. We're off to the flop. There's one diamond on the flop. We're off to the turn. There's another diamond on the turn. We're off to the river. There's no more diamonds to be found. We're gonna get stacked here, or we double him up. I think we had him covered because we had won a few pots. We doubled this man up for $3,100, I believe, was the amount in his chip stack. And that is not the desired results, my friends. Not one bit. Once again, definitely, possibly, way too aggressive with the ace king in a 4-bet or 5-bet or whatever it is bet pot. We could have taken some other lines here. I don't hate it versus the player types as described, but yeah, if you're in Vegas, you just run into it a little bit more so than you do in Texas, I'm afraid. So maybe some adjustments need to be made. Is what it is though. Once again, firmly buried. We were moving in the right direction there. We had won a few pots before that, and now that is a highly significant pot that does not go our way, to say the least. Some good news later on in this session. Eventually, as a poker blogger, when you're buried, sometimes you just lose the will to do your job and you lose the will to record. So I played a 4-bet pot with ace-jack suited versus pocket tens. There was no betting post-flop, but we did hit a jack, and we dragged that one in for a $600 profit. Some other such hands that are somewhat on the smaller side, and those do go our way. So the good news is that we were up before that ace-king debacle. We managed to win some hands after that ace-king disaster, and we managed to get somewhere back around even over here at the win, but not even for the day, not even close. No, we're gonna book a proper loss on the day here. Somewhere around the loss size of where we left Resorts World at, somewhere around the neighborhood of $7,500. Now, we gotta take a bigger view picture of the situation here because as mentioned in previous vlogs, things have been going extremely well in the cash streets for me as of late. $1,070 to $4,555.
The biggest profit that I have secured in any game.
And now that run good has reached its end, and we were definitely due. Am I happy about it? No. Still feels like shit, I'm not gonna lie. Every time, no matter how good things are going in poker, when you get whacked, and additionally when it's possibly your own fault, it doesn't feel good. And it always brings up questions about how much time should I be spending grinding cash games here in Las Vegas? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Obviously the questions pop up a lot more when you lose. Obviously you get a little bit more aggressive with ace kings when you're on a win streak. That winner's tilt, I think it's a thing. We'll see. We'll see what happens from here. If you are enjoying these vlogs and you would like to support your poker vlogger host here on the Andrew Neeme channel, there's great news because the Favorable Apparel store is back open for business. Design Queen Boosie, she's been back at it, designing some fantastic items for you guys. There's a brand spanking new hoodie. There is the Poker Vlog t-shirt. Would love for you guys to check those out. And if you are so inclined, go ahead and grab yourself a little something. Maybe if we sell 1 billion t-shirts, I'll be able to get back to even from this session.